Greetings from Cybertron. This is SoundJack here with another episode of SoundJack's Rambles. And today I'm here with Eric again.
Hello.
He is back for another round, and we are here to talk about the Black Panther movie.
Yes.
Before we get into it, I do want to apologize. It's like I've had a 2-week break. I just had so many problems trying to get this podcast recorded. Just scheduling and illness and that kind of stuff. So, and I feel so bad because this movie deserved. I just wanted to get this out because it's, in my opinion, at the very least, it is a very great movie, and I deserved to get a podcast from me out. Granted, not a whole lot of people listen to my podcast per se, but I felt it was a movie that should have gotten the week after podcast treatment, but that completely fell through, unfortunately. But we are doing it. We are doing it now, and that's all that matters.
Yep, and wow, it is certainly great. So you already said that you think it's a great movie, and I absolutely agree. How do you think it stacks up to other Marvel Universe movies?
You know what? I have not been asked that question, and I've never never thought of that yet.
Really, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Don't know
I
if
just
it's
like
number one, but it's so. I want to say that it is definitely my number one solo film, if that makes sense. Like as in a superhero on their own. So basically comparing it to Thor or Thor 2, Thor 3, or Iron Man 1, 2, 3. Don't get me wrong, I love Thor Ragnarok, Iron Man 1. And I don't count Civil War. I want to put that out there. I don't count Civil War as an individual film, even though it is technically, but it's like Avengers 2.5.
Yes.
But so that's why. But then I don't count Guardians of the Galaxy as that either, because I love them. But I'm just saying it's kind of a different category. So in terms of a solo film, Black Panther's my favorite.
Yes,
easily.
I'm gonna.
But I feel like I like Guardians and Civil War around the same. So I don't know. It's hard for me to say whether or not it would take number one overall.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah. Sorry for almost cutting you off, but. The thing I'm going to say is the reason why I forgot to compare it to other Marvel movies, because even though it is connected to other events, because obviously one of the big things is we go back to the whole Civil War thing and we talk about that and we establish where this movie falls into the timeline, which is basically a week after Civil War.
And it's way before Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yes.
As in months before.
Yes. But the big thing is that it is such a standalone movie that I knew I was going in to see a Marvel movie. I was going to see the first solo film of this character that we saw on the big screen a little bit in Civil War. Mm-hmm. Well, not a little bit. We saw. Did we see him a bit more than Spider-Man in Civil War? We probably did.
Yes, not necessarily in costume more than Spider. I'd say probably about the same. No, actually, because he's in the big fight with Spider-Man, but that's about all you see of Spider-Man. Black Panther also fought Winter Soldier beforehand, but if you count Unmasked, then yeah, you definitely see him more than Spider-Man.
Yes. Yeah. But even with the establishment in the rest of the Marvel Universe, this movie does such a great job of being its own film. And that's definitely a good thing, especially in a cinematic universe where all of these films are crossing over into each other. It's not only making good films about individual characters on top of good films with combinations of characters, but also being able to have good films that stand by themselves and don't need and have reasons to keep the other characters uninvolved. If that makes sense, if what I'm saying is making sense.
Yeah, this is one of the first solo films where it's, other than basically all the first ones, do you know what I mean? As in, obviously before Avengers happened, all the solo films, they weren't going to interact with each other because they had never met each other. But after that, it's like, why don't they show up in each other's movies? Which, and I feel like Thor Ragnarok actually was a really good reason for that.
Yes.
Like that one made a lot of sense. But in general, they aren't the best at making it clear why no one else is helping.
Yeah.
Or no one else is aware of what's going on.
And even Thor Ragnarok, he wasn't technically alone because Hulk was with him.
No, that's what I mean is that they didn't try to make it alone. And
okay.
It also made sense why the Avengers didn't show up. But
yeah. Oh wait, what am I talking about? We got a Doctor Strange cameo in that film too.
I didn't even think about that. You're right.
So that one did a good job of acknowledging the rest of the universe.
Yes, but it still felt like its own thing. So that one was a great example. But then this is on the other end where it doesn't really show anyone, minus a post-credit scene.
Yes.
Which, by the way, are we doing non-spoiler first and spoiler later, or is this all just spoiler?
At this point, yeah, let's just go with this is all spoiler at this point. Okay. We probably should have done like a brief rundown of what the film was, but you know what? We're here. If you're looking into this,
you've probably seen it because it's been a really big deal. In all honesty,
or if you haven't seen it, you should assume, since if you've listened to my other rambles, that you should expect spoilers. So if you're coming here and you haven't watched Black Panther yet,
stay clear and definitely go watch it because
yes.
I don't know if you couldn't tell, we loved it. So
yes, though of course you have definitely been warned.
So Winter Soldier is in the post-credit scene, which makes sense because you see Winter Soldier in Wakanda in the post-credit scene of Civil War, which I'm glad that they followed it up. I was curious if he was going to show up in the movie or not. And in all honesty, I love Winter Soldier. So before the movie, part of me kind of wanted him to.
Mm-hmm.
After watching the movie, I am so glad he wasn't because, yes, this movie feels so separate that I did kind of forget it was a Marvel film.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very much okay with that because it was so strong and it just made sense why no one else was there because it's Wakanda.
Yes.
No one else is there.
Yes.
Now, that may not be the case going forward, but in all honesty, this may sound weird, but this has me a little slightly bummed for Infinity War because I know we are not going to get that much of Black Panther, and that kind of upsets me because I love him now.
Yes.
So I feel like one of my fears going into Infinity War already was that, like, we're already, like, this is going to be really tough to balance. Not saying it's impossible, and I hope they pull it off, but that it's going to be really hard to do so.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, I love Black Panther so much, which isn't going to be everyone's reaction. It's just mine. Like, he is probably my favorite Avenger now out of, the movie ones. But the thing is, like, it just, in a team movie, not everyone has a full-time role, so he'll have moments, I'm sure, but overall I don't think he's going to be super like integral to the story overall. Could be wrong, we'll see, but yeah, so that I feel like that's telling of how much I really love this movie because it's this character that we've barely gotten any of. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was awesome in Civil War, but this is his real like introduction as to who he is.
Yes.
And I would just like to point out, he's not the only Black Panther in this movie.
No, he's not. He is.
There are 3. People might say there's 2, but there's definitely 3.
You are right.
Which I loved. I thought that was really cool.
Yes.
What did you think of the father as T'Chaka? What did you think of him as Black Panther? Like his design. I'm just curious. Do you remember how it looked?
I'm trying to remember. It was basically the Black Panther outfit we saw.
So it was like the Civil War one,
yeah.
But he wore like a cape thing.
Oh yeah, you're right. He did.
And it was gold instead of silver. Everything on it. There was no silver on his outfit. So like how Black Panther is black and silver, and he had more silver probably in Civil War than he did in Black Panther, which I'm okay with. I love his redesign in Black Panther. I also love that they explain where he got his suit and that it's different. I really appreciated that. That's just a thing sometimes where like characters get upgrades, and they don't always have to explain it, but sometimes they just don't. But they explained it and like showed the differences and all that. Like I liked that a lot. I also just really like the new costume. But yeah, T'Chaka's was gold, which I thought looked cool. I was glad that it was different too.
Yes, because it is a very strong point of the differences between the different Black Panthers, or at the very least, their different leading styles. Is a major thought process in this film.
Mm-hmm. Who would you say is your favorite Black Panther? Since we got three.
T'Challa.
Okay. I don't know. I really liked Killmonger. Although I'd say probably T'Challa still. But yeah. I really, really like Killmonger.
Just as Black Panther themselves, I could definitely understand. In terms of overall philosophy, that's why I'm choosing.
Yeah.
Because
I didn't mean philosophy. I just meant in terms of the character, who you thought was more interesting, or looked the coolest too. Not the thing.
Because I don't know if this is your mindset for this, but mine is very politically pointed. Because
yes,
whether
this
you want
movie was extremely political, but I thought that it was natural, if that makes sense. Like it wasn't something that was trying to force politics upon you. It would have been more forced, honestly, if they ignored it. If they had this kind of a setup for the story and then didn't dive into it. And I thought it was very well handled, like extremely well handled. And that is something that I feel is very sensitive and very, very hard and intimidating to pull off. And they did, at least in my mind.
Yes.
So.
Yes. And Marvel's had this film going in the works for so long, and I'm not sure exactly when the script because of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, when the scripting really would have begun for this.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously it would have been probably had to have been finalized before. I'm going to keep it vague. Recent events, but it happens to play into a lot of what's been going on politically, not just in America, but a bunch of countries around the world. And this is definitely one thing my roommate has said. This is not just politically for African Americans or Africans in other countries, or just Africans in general, but for basically all countries across the planet in terms of...
Yes, it has a very important message. One that a lot of people might not quite... Like, when the movie's being set up and stuff, I don't think you realize what it is, but by the end of it, you very much understand what they're talking about.
Yes.
And I think that it was... I don't know. I am still shocked that they went for what they did and they pulled it off so well.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
I thought they took, like, one of the most political things you can talk about and made it... I mean, it was still political, but not like, there's two sides, this one's right.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yes, because...
Like, the solution at the end was very much a blend of the two approaches.
Yes, and this is especially the part I really liked about this film, and the political message part of it. It's never this versus that. It's never two sides of the coin. We got a bunch of different characters, and they all have different reactions, because especially in comparing Wakabi and Okoye.
Yeah, Okoye.
In terms of how everything works, and especially how they interact with the main points of T'Challa Black Panther and Killmonger Black Panther and their leadership styles.
I thought Okoye was a very interesting character.
Yes.
So much more than I expected. I did not expect to come out of the movie like really loving her, but man, I really love her.
Yes.
Her loyalty, but at the same time she clearly knew. I don't know. It was very, very interesting to just see that. It was not what I expected, and it was very much appreciated that they took that route. But the one character that we've been kind of mentioning, but not really talking about, Killmonger.
Yes.
This is, in my opinion, the strongest Marvel Cinematic Universe villain we have gotten.
I can completely agree with that. I don't even need to get... again, because I haven't compared the film itself to the rest of the films.
Some people will argue that Loki is still the favorite, but I personally think that he's better, and I think that Loki is more of an anti-hero.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't think he's really a straight up. He's very entertaining and everything, but in terms of like playing the role of a villain,
yes,
I think Killmonger is the strongest by far.
Yes, because not only is he a great villain, but like his reasoning and his back.
He's a great villain because he was relatable.
Yes.
Well, understandable, I would say, for some. I don't know. That might.
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying because, like, we understand it. We cannot relate to it directly.
Yes.
Specifically, you and me. And I don't think this is offensive to say this because of our race, because we're right, and his backstory is completely tied into
racism.
Yes.
I was going to say his backstory is very much tied into discrimination and all of that. And, so I will not say that as someone who has not faced that I can relate to him, but I certainly understand and kind of root for him during the movie.
Yes.
I also understand how he's wrong, but,
yes,
it's a conflict. I loved how they handled him throughout all of it. His ending, I kind of wanted him to live. I don't know. I don't know. His death had meaning, especially how he said like to be buried and stuff. Like I liked that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I really thought it'd be interesting. No, I did not expect this, but to have both of them kind of rule, like, which in all honesty, he's taking out he's taking a lot of what Killmonger wanted to do and just turning it into non-lethal, essentially. Like, he's doing the right thing. Like, Killmonger had the right idea, just the wrong method.
Yes.
And so T'Challa does do that, but he doesn't, literally, rule side by side with him. I thought that would have been very interesting to have that, like, almost a dual monarchy. Did not expect it, but I really wanted it by the end. Like, I didn't want Killmonger to die because I liked him so much, but I do think that he kind of needed to.
Yeah, so. It would have been hard
to have the same emotional impact or stuff like that if it wasn't so.
Yes, with how his story was set up.
Although, one interesting thing, he could be in Black Panther 2. Do you know how?
How?
He's a Black Panther.
Okay.
So, not literally alive in Black Panther 2.
Yes.
But it is very possible that he could communicate with him, which I don't know if they'll take that route, but I really, really hope they do because I would love to see them talk.
Yes, especially with whatever happens because we got. When is Black Panther 2 coming out? We
have no idea yet.
Oh, we just know it's a thing? Or are we assuming it's a thing?
I can't remember if they've officially. I feel like people in the positions have stated like there will be a Black Panther 2, but I don't know if we've gotten the official announcement like, hey, Black Panther 2 is coming. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
We're going to get a Black Panther 2. So just putting that out there.
Yeah.
It is definitely going to happen, especially with how well the movie did already now. But I think before that happened, we were definitely going to get another one.
Yes.
But yes.
But it's going to be a few years down the line. And then there's going to be a whole lot of stuff that happens between now and then because on top of the whole Wakanda being a part of the big world scene, we also got to deal with whatever crap happens when Thanos comes to town.
Yeah, and there's going to be an invasion in Wakanda. So
yes,
we are certainly not done seeing Wakanda yet, but it is not looking good for them right now.
Yes.
So I'm curious, just thoughts on this. How do you think it was as a setup to Infinity War? Because this is the last movie we're getting before Infinity War, and I know a lot of people are thinking like, oh man, this is going to be our big setup, or at least that the end credits were. And personally, I don't think it was at all.
No.
I would be lying if I said a small part of me wanted there to be something in the end credits that kind of did, which I don't really count the Winter Soldier as. Mm-hmm. I mean, other than we know that he's fixed mentally. He doesn't even have his new vibranium arm, assuming it's vibranium. But what else would they give him if it was a metal arm in Wakanda? Let's be real.
Yes.
So I don't think it was a setup to Infinity War at all. And part of me, like, for the sake of Infinity War, wanted there to be a little more setup, only because I feel like that really would have helped. But in terms of Black Panther, I'm really glad they didn't because I can see this as an entirely separate thing. Like, if you haven't watched Marvel movies and you're interested in Black Panther, do it.
Yes.
There's a slight bit of background because of Civil War, but they cover it. There's nothing that they don't cover in this. So there's honestly, you don't need to watch the other movies. And this stands on its own. Like, there isn't an emotional moment that you need to watch the other movies for to understand. So
that's very true. And that's very, very impressive considering the track record of the Marvel movies.
Yes, considering how deep they are and just how they've been doing things lately, it's very much relying on their past, which I don't think is always a bad thing. Like in terms of Infinity War, they obviously like it's the culmination of everything. Yes. But yes, all Marvel movies as of late have been pretty reliant on past ones. Only exception would be Guardians. Although you mean Guardians 2 obviously does rely on Guardians 1, but
though even then, Guardians still has a direct tie into. I'm trying to remember now. Did in the movies at the very least we know of the Infinity Stones as the Infinity Stones before Guardians?
That's a good question. Because I want to say that Thor may have mentioned it in Dark World. I don't know, though.
Well, that can explain that because that's probably the worst movie. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope that's not a controversial opinion. I don't go on the boards, but...
I don't think so either, but I do love that Thor 2 was so bad, and then Thor 3... Well, I don't love that Thor 2 was so bad, but I love that they went from it being so bad to making an amazing 3.
Yes.
Just that out there,
yeah.
But I know we said out of heroes, but my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe previous to this was actually I just thought of this because we mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy. Yondu.
Ooh, he was also good.
This is a really tough call for me now. I don't know who's my favorite. I think it might still be Yondu, but I'm not sure.
I mean, in the first film, he's just.
Oh no! It's because of the second film.
Yes,
definitely.
Yeah. In the first film,
him in the first movie, but...
where he's definitely a villain. He's a villain. I mean, like,
I would say he villain. He has an antagonistic role. He's not really a villain.
Yeah, and in the second film, like, he plays an antagonistic role, but then he comes to the good guy side, so he's kind of anti-hero. He blurs the lines a lot.
He's very which is part of the reason I like him.
If I remember, it's
because of his relation with Peter Quill.
If I remember correctly, in terms of the hero's journey, he'd be the shapeshifter. Is that what it's called?
I think so. Yeah. I'm not entirely certain though.
It's been a while since I've looked at that, but like Yondu just flip-flops.
But yeah, there's only a couple Marvel Cinematic Universe characters that I'm like, yes, by far better than anyone else, in my opinion. Totally just for me. Yondu's one of them. Black Panther is definitely one of them now. I would even say that Killmonger's probably one of them for me now.
Yeah.
So it's tough for me to say who's my absolute favorite, but
yes,
he's certainly up there. He is impressive.
Definitely. The only thing I can quote unquote, and let me clear this up. I'm saying quote unquote complain about is the origin movie has the Marvel Cinematic Universe trope of the villain being the hero but evil. But
I honestly, in terms of like literally, yes, like he is a Black Panther and he fights Black Panther.
Yes.
Although part of me loves that they went further than usual and he was literally like bearing the title.
That is
of
very
Black
true.
Panther. Like that's one thing that makes it like slightly different. I don't know. Some people might think that it's worse, but I think that it's actually I think it's better. But also the fact that they both have conflicting views. He's not like literally just like I am you, but bad. Like, I am doing everything you were doing, but turning it evil. But in terms of like literally, like you look at him, yes, he's just an evil. He is the villain Black Panther.
Yes, and Eric, what you said is exactly why I have the big quote unquote complain, because this is the movie that justifies that the most.
Yes, I totally agree. I don't think there's any better, like, I say, so anti-hero does not mean this, but, you know, like, if I say, like, negative hero.
Yes.
Like, as in, like, their inverse, the inverse hero. there's no one who pulls this off as well. Like, not even there's no close second for this.
No.
It is that I won't even debate that. Like, maybe it's a strong opinion, but I don't think anyone comes close, especially just the fact that he is different yet the same. And like, I would not have wanted them to choose a different route, in all honesty. So yes, he does have that trope, but unlike the majority of cases, I think he more than pulls it off.
Yes. Yeah, listen to us. Tropes are not bad inherently. And this is a great example. But the thing I do like about the film, and I think this to an extent helps it pull it away from reality a bit, because it plays with a concept that would certainly be present in the current African American population if it existed, is the fact of an African nation completely untouched by colonization that has the ability to have prevented it but did nothing about it, and what the reaction to that would be.
Yes, like they made it a fantasy of a real world problem.
Yes.
If that makes sense. And they did it very realistically, and I just thought that it was very smart. Like they didn't just go full fantasy and ignore history. Like they very much incorporated, which I thought was very important, very daring, but very important.
Absolutely.
And I just find it, I don't know. I am intrigued by this movie. It's hard for me I think it also has a very strong supporting cast. So just to give you like quick overview of the other characters.
Yes.
There's Agent Ross, who is awesome. He's also the only other white person other than Claw. There's those two. Which I think is interesting to point out, that you do get a good guy and a bad guy. Because some complaints before the movie, as we talked about before we started the podcast, was that there's like, it's only portraying white people as like evil people from the past, like, and that have impacted like, the black society and how that's going on in this movie. Which isn't true. You definitely get an evil guy. There's nothing really redeeming about Claw in terms of like being a good guy. Like there's no point where you really feel sympathy for him. Meanwhile, Agent Ross is very much a good guy. He's trying his best, but he's very much a supporting character too. Yes. He does not ever take on a bigger role.
Granted, he does have, at the start of his interactions in the film, he does have tensions with T'Challa.
Oh yeah, but he's never an antagonist. But correct. Yes, like it's kind of like, what are you doing? I don't know about this. Like But he even helps him out during that fight. He literally picks up Okoye and I can't remember her name. His love interest.
It was Nakia.
Nakia. I just keep thinking of her real name, Lupita Nyong, the actress. Which, speaking of actors, really quick side note, I loved that young T'Chaka was played by the T'Chaka's actor's son. If you didn't know that,
I did not know that.
Yes, that is his real world son. Which you get to see T'Chaka both young and like present day, even though he's dead, like his older self in this movie. Yes, the actor who played young him was actually his like real world son, which I thought was really neat, and it worked. So, other cast members. So I mentioned Claw. Claw, I thought was hilarious. I love Claw. He died pretty fast.
Yeah,
he needed to for the story. So don't get me wrong, as in saying it's a complaint, but I liked him so much, I wouldn't mind seeing more of him. Yeah. Or see him kind of become the Claw that is in the comics. Not like literally, because I don't need to see a red guy with a weird face and a microphone hand running around in his underwear. But in terms of like being an actual like super villain, I think that would have been cool. It's also still possible they could play with that.
I'm sorry, dead. What?
What?
What's that about Claw in the comics?
Oh, do you not know what Claw looks like?
Nah.
He basically wears an entirely red suit. He has like, so you know how he had like the cannon arm kind of?
Yes.
He's like, looks like basically a speaker in the comics. Like it is a cannon arm. Like that's something they homage in the comics, but it's not something that looks like a hand.
Okay.
Like it basically looks like a gray speaker. His face is really weird and robotic. And he has like, I think purple underwear, like like Superman style. I believe. Could be wrong. Now I'm going to double check. But he's also made of sound. Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay. Does he?
he's what?
I think I remember him a little bit purely because of TF Wiki making a joke about that and like what the color of sound is.
Oh yeah. That's probably what it was. Yes, I looked it up and I'm right. He does have the purple underwear.
Okay.
I think that his appearance in this movie was great. I thought he was very entertaining. Who knows? It's possible that they could bring him back and turn him like literally like revive him, and that's like what he turns into, and that he's the villain of Black Panther 2. I think that'd be interesting only because we know that he has a history with Wakanda.
Yes.
But I don't expect it, and unless they know they can pull it off, I wouldn't want them to. Like, I don't want them to force it, but I will say that it was kind of, a little bumming, a little bit of a bummer that he wasn't actually showing up any more than he did. But he served his role, and he was entertaining. He certainly, Andy Serkis, good job.
Yes.
I loved him.
Yes.
Not sympathetic at all, but he wasn't supposed to be. But he was hilarious. I loved him.
Absolutely.
Other cast members. So we mentioned the love interest, Nakia.
Yes.
In all honesty, out of all of the main supporting characters, I think she might be my least favorite. Not because she did anything bad, but it's kind of, I don't know.
Unfortunate, but understandable.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with her being really being a bad character. It's just that everyone else I thought was so strong. I wouldn't even count Claw as a main supporting character, only because he dies pretty darn fast.
Mm-hmm.
I loved him, but he died pretty darn fast. I don't know. I liked Ross a lot. He's very sympathetic. She just, I don't know. The whole being a spy thing, right. I didn't like.
She was important. She was definitely.
She just wanted to leave. I don't know if this is the impression I got until the end, and then it was okay, yeah, you could I'll help.
That's not the impression I got. She was the voice of we need to help the people, but in the good way.
I don't know. I got that. I honestly felt like, I mean, she was supposed to be, but in all honesty, she didn't come anywhere near me sympathizing with as much as Killmonger. I don't know. I know that she was supposed to be, but I don't know. I never felt for her that much.
I didn't feel for her, but I understood. I did understand what her point of view in all of this was.
Yeah, I got it. But the whole point with Black Panther saying especially in the beginning of the movie where he's you can stay here, you can help, we can help, just stay here and do it as queen, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Which she does come around to in the end, but I don't get why she doesn't come around to it in the beginning. I mean, I guess it makes more sense. Okay, we are clearly going to do this after Killmonger, but T'Challa already kind of wanted to. Killmonger just solidified it, made him realize, yes, it is worse than we thought. We definitely need to. But the impression I got was that he wanted to already. Yeah. He just didn't start yet, but he was saying to her, we can do this.
I think he was. I think it was considering, because we also have that discussion with Wakabi that he doesn't necessarily seem opposed to, if I remember correctly, but I think because he's still trying to figure out his place.
Yeah, I don't know, but I thought it was interesting that she didn't even try for it at all. She wasn't okay, can we, how can we do this? It was just no, I want to leave.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're king, but I want to leave. And then she just protects the family, basically. I don't know. It wasn't that she was bad. I just did not resonate with her as much. Again, I liked her. Don't get me wrong. It's just not nearly as much as anyone else, unless you count his mom. But I wouldn't, because she really doesn't do much.
No.
She's not bad. She just doesn't do much.
Yeah. I almost forgot about her while we were having this discussion.
Unlike her sister.
Yes.
I mean, yes, her sister, who is awesome.
No, wait. Sure. T'Challa's sister.
Yeah, T'Challa's sister. Yeah,
his sister, not her sister, not
or did I say her sister?
Yes.
Oh yeah, his sister.
Yeah.
She is awesome. She steals the show for most people, rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
Actress is amazing. I've been watching several clips of her doing things. She basically is Shuri.
Mm-hmm.
In real life, it's awesome. So her playing that character makes so much sense. But man, she is so cool. She's so smart. She makes Tony Stark look like a little kid.
Yep.
Some people are saying like it's a plot hole that she can do all this stuff. Not really. When you're the most developed nation and you have all these resources, it makes sense that, the kid who isn't responsible for going out and saving the world as Black Panther, well, not saving the world, but, doing stuff as Black Panther all the time, would be able to take root and become one of the smartest people ever. I bought it. She's awesome. And she's not like invincible either, because while she did put on gear and go to fight, she nearly got killed by Killmonger, which I'm glad she didn't just walk out and be like, oh, I'm going to dominate you, and then, like, beat him, basically, because that'd be ridiculous. I'm just putting it out there. Like, her thing is being super smart, which she is, and she's a technology, but she was not going to win that fight against, like, one of the best fighters ever.
No.
But yeah, she stealed the show. Another character who also stealed the show for a lot of people outside of, like, basically, I'm talking about general audience. The two that stole the show are her and also, what is his name? Gorilla guy.
M'Baku.
I couldn't remember his name. Yeah. M'Baku. A lot of people loved him. I wasn't certain about him at first. I love M'Baku. He was so funny by the end. I love that. And then he came around, and then like basically he's like, yeah, we can be friends now.
Yeah.
But no, I really liked his character. I thought it was very interesting. The position he just took. I don't know. He intrigued me, but also was very funny at the same time. I really liked him. I don't think he like stole the show for me, like Shuri did, like how everyone else has been saying. A lot of people have been saying that basically he and Shuri both did. I really, really liked him, but I don't think he was as awesome as Shuri.
Yes, and I definitely agree with that, especially because most of M'Baku's best stuff was towards the end of the film after we had to, flee Wakanda and all of that.
I find it very interesting that they were going to make him Black Panther.
Yes. I
don't know. Part of me like wonders like how would that? I don't know. I honestly think Black Panther would have won. I mean, Killmonger would have won the day if that had happened. Don't get me wrong, I like M'Baku, but I just don't see him as a Black Panther.
Yeah.
But who knows? We'll never know, but I just find that very interesting. The only other main character I can think of, main supporting character, is Okoye. I really liked her.
Yes.
Like, I thought that out of the two, main girls, because Shuri is awesome, but I wouldn't say she's as integral to the story as both Okoye and Nakia are.
Mm-hmm.
Although, in all honesty, I don't think Nakia is super integral to the story. And I don't know. She is in terms of protecting the family, but like, she's still more than Shuri, either way. But Okoye is very much a main player in all of this. And I really liked her. She was probably my favorite out of those two, like of the really important women. She's probably my favorite. She's just so cool. I don't know. I love that she's basically like the greatest warrior out of all of them. And also her conflicting loyalty was really, really interesting.
Absolutely. That on top of her no swearing, awesome fight scenes. That was definitely the best thing about her was that she, and again, going back to my whole point of not just two sides, that there's...
Mm-hmm. Although I thought it was very interesting that she almost just tried to play like one side. She couldn't, but she almost did. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it was basically like, this is right no matter what. It was like what she tried to do, but she knew it wasn't right. And she did, on honesty. Like, she didn't leave. It was just at the end that she kind of changed.
She was willing to follow the leader of Wakanda because of the pride of Wakanda. However, as long as that leader was fulfilling...
as long as he was the legitimate leader, which by the end he could have been, but wasn't at the moment. So like he hadn't,
because obviously she had doubts. There were always doubts going up, and then
she did not want to follow him. She wanted to like
Yes.
she loved T'Challa and everything. So I thought it's very interesting that she's like, yeah, I'll help the family and stuff, but you need to go. And she's like, are you coming with us? And like, she's like, you're coming with us. And she's like, no, like I'm staying here. Like my job is Wakanda. Like I found that very interesting that she is such a strong character that she's able to keep it.
Yes.
I just got distracted. Sorry.
Good.
But I found it very interesting that she attempted to have that loyalty and that she was strong enough to pretty much have it until the end, where it was like, okay,
Where
you're not actually the Black Panther yet. Well, you are the Black Panther, but you're not actually king yet. You need to sort this out, and then it's sorted out. Is there any other characters I missed?
Zuri, who was Uncle James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what? No, I'm confused.
He was the elder that oversaw the ceremony and was the one.
Oh, yeah, Zuri.
Right? Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yes, because Forrest Whitaker played Zuri, and then Denzel Whitaker, who was not related to Forrest, played the young Zuri when he was hiding under, like, being a secret lookout for
secret agent.
Yeah, for
to basically oversee the ruler's son. I mean, brother.
Yes,
which I thought was interesting. I liked him. I didn't think he was super. He was important to mainly the old story, and it was like emotional impact for T'Challa, his death. I didn't think there was anything like super amazing about his character, only because we didn't see him that much, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So like I liked him, but he just didn't do much.
No, yeah. He was good. He was very important to the story beats.
Yeah.
That was about it, unfortunately.
And I gotta say, I really did like young T'Chaka too, because I think that he was honestly as integral as Zuri, if we're gonna bring him up. So
yes.
T'Chaka, I thought he was great in this movie. Both the older version was interesting, but I thought the younger, like I don't know, it was just a scene, but I really liked it. I think I really liked seeing him as Black Panther. Was something that just I wasn't exactly expecting, and I liked that they showed him off as not perfect, like that he was a really darn good ruler, but that he messed up, and he was like, "It's the truth I omitted." Like I don't know, I really liked that. I thought it was very interesting that he especially created basically the antagonist.
Yes.
So.
Absolutely.
What was I gonna? There was something else I was gonna bring up. I don't remember. The fights between. Oh, I remember. So the fight between Killmonger and Black Panther. Well, T'Challa, because he's not the Black Panther whenever he fights him the first time. Neither of them are.
Yes.
For the ritual, he destroyed him. Like, not even close. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, T'Challa put up a fight at the beginning, but it was not a close fight.
Yeah.
Killmonger dominated him. My question is, how did T'Challa win later? Like, don't get me wrong, he came out of the coma and everything, but, like, there was no, like, training we saw or anything like, oh, I'm going to use this trick or something. Like, no, they straight up fought, and he just straight up beat him in a fight. I mean, there was the whole thing with like the train like nullifying the effects of vibranium for a slight bit, and that's how he stabbed him and everything. But unless like Killmonger thought, oh, my suit's vibranium, I can take that hit. Like maybe that's what he was thinking. I didn't get that impression though. Like no. I didn't think that because he saw the vibranium fading off of himself.
He knew it was happening.
Yeah, so like I didn't think that was a move. Only thing I can think of is that he wasn't as used to fighting with the Black Panther powers. And since they went from both being not Black Panthers, which certainly Killmonger obviously is better at, to both being Black Panthers. We don't know how those powers work 100%. So I feel like that's the only thing I can come up with, and that's kind of a stretch. I mean, it might be their explanation, but I feel like it's kind of a stretch, but still like somewhat reasonable, is that Black Panther is used to being Black Panther, whereas Killmonger isn't, so he wasn't fully adept to using all those powers.
Yes.
Whereas T'Challa is. So I don't know.
Possible. At best, the only other thing I could think of is like maybe having his strength sapped twice in such a short period of time had a greater negative impact?
I still would say that it's more likely that Killmonger was the better fighter.
Yes.
I mean, it's also possible that, even when you're the better fighter, you don't always win. But
Yes.
still, I don't know.
That explanation is kind of cheapens that fight. Certainly, I'm just
I feel like it's more like, if anything, that it would be more along the lines of T'Challa's more used to being Black Panther.
Yes.
And so it was like, well, human on human, which obviously he's a human, but it's superhuman lately.
Yes.
So it's like human on human. Killmonger's by far, I think, even just he just is the better warrior.
Mm-hmm.
As Black Panthers, that's T'Challa's home ground, so it makes sense that he would have an edge. Mm-hmm. But so I guess it kind of makes sense, but it's still, I thought it was like he didn't really like learn anything in terms of fighting or like Killmonger's weakness, like nothing. Like there wasn't a definitive reason where it was like, okay, now he can beat Killmonger.
Mm-hmm. But he does walk up to that confrontation at the beginning because he planned it to be just him and Killmonger fighting with that confidence. So that could certainly be what he was betting on.
I thought it was interesting that they went that route, though, that like Killmonger almost seemed slightly cowardish because he wasn't before. Like in, I don't know, Killmonger does not seem like the type to underestimate himself. So I feel like normally he'd be like, okay, let's do this. Like I will face you right now. Although now that I think about it, if they were going to like actually do the normal fight, they'd both have to get rid of the Black Panther herbs. Yes. And as far as we know, there's no more. So there wouldn't be any going back.
Yes. So they would have to do it one-on-one.
Yeah, so I don't know. So maybe he was kind of, I don't know. I thought it was interesting that they displayed it as like this time Killmonger's scared. Like he doesn't want to fight. He's going to make everyone fight Black Panther, and he's going to continue out his plan. I don't know.
I don't think he's necessarily scared. It to me, at the very least, it came off more like this ain't worth it. We got a plan.
That's fair.
I gotta do what I need to do for everyone else. I don't care about this guy.
That kind of makes sense. Like I thought that maybe you thought that the mission was more important, but I still feel like he would have fought Black Panther. Like he went after like his sister and like the
because they were coming after him.
True, but like he was fighting them. Meanwhile, Black Panther's on the battlefield. Like I don't know. I just feel like he would be more that. I don't know. The impression I got before was that like I'm coming for you. Mm-hmm. Although I suppose he's now in the position of power. It's no longer like I'm coming for you. It's like you already lost. Like you're out of here.
You're beneath me. I'll send my subordinates after you.
Yeah, I guess. So it makes sense. It just I don't know. I thought it was interesting that they played out that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we said, he dies. But I thought it was a good send off.
Yes.
I thought it's certainly meaningful what he said too. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really curious. That is a number one thing that I'm curious to see if it's possible that they bring him back or not. Like not literally back to life. Although technically we don't see him die, so it's assumed that he does, unless Black Panther specifically like disregards his wishes and he's like, yeah, I'm just going to save him anyways.
Yeah, I doubt he would though.
Yeah, exactly.
Without any like potential foreshadowing. Not even like a direct foreshadowing, but like a suggestion that maybe he didn't get buried or something. But I
don't know. But,
we don't have any indication.
Yeah, there's nothing to show for it so far, so I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, so overall, amazing film.
Absolutely. There's only one other thing I will point that I could be like, that was weird when I was watching it, but it made sense later, was the introduction. Purely because
the flashback.
Yeah, well, the story of like the forming of Wakanda, because I just had no context for who was talking, and then the flashback to the taking T'Challa's father. What's his name?
T'Chaka
talking to his brother and that bit, and then getting into the actual Black Panther bit. Just because I didn't know it was coming, I was just like, how does this connect? And then everything made sense as the film went on. That's the only minor thing. And it makes so much more sense with the whole context of the film.
Yeah, I don't think it's really a weakness. I think it's just something you have to watch
Yeah.
for. Like, I don't know. It got my interest for sure.
Yeah, it
the
definitely got...
backstory, I know they played around with several different ways of doing it. It was T'Chaka that did the background of Wakanda, right?
I thought, no.
Was it him?
No.
Or who was it?
It was Killmonger's father.
Was it really?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it was, since... with the implication when Killmonger goes to this, what's the spirit world?
It's him telling Killmonger.
Yes.
Okay, I knew that I didn't realize that was him in the beginning.
That's what makes the most sense to me.
I couldn't remember. I remember reading something that they tried very different ways of doing it. Like, they even had one where Shuri explained it, but they just didn't think it worked. Like, there were several routes they were thinking about it, but they just settled on.
I remember how I thought of that, because it was a kid's voice saying, "Tell me the story of Home, Father."
Okay, that makes sense.
And that would make the most...
I believe you. I just honestly couldn't remember because it didn't stick out to me that much. Like, I thought the backstory made sense to me. So.
No, the backstory... No. The backstory was great. It was like the setup for it. It was like, how does this fit in? Because I don't think this is Black Panther. Or T'Challa, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
In either position. That, like... This is an absolutely minor thing, and this is not like an actual negative thing on the film. This is just a note I had from my first watching of it, and I just felt like bringing it up because
they did show the date for it though, right? Like, that wasn't they showed.
Well, the 1990 thing, like, yes, they did that, and I was like, where's this connected? But like the introduction of like what Wakanda was and how it was founded.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh, that's a great way. How is this in continuity more so, rather than just someone telling a story to a kid?
Also, the reason I got distracted was because official images of Inferno, Outback, and Cindersaur are up. By the way,
okay.
Just side note.
I mean, we're almost done. We're almost done.
No. That's just what caught my attention. Sorry.
Okay, good to know. The only other things I could think of we'd want to talk about are the production of the itself, like the filming and the CGI and the music and stuff like that.
Yeah, music. Yes. The album came out. I love it. I've listened to the album a bunch. I absolutely love it now. And it's actually got me into Kendrick Lamar. So I'm glad that I really liked it.
I heard, after I heard like Kendrick Lamar did the whole album, I was like, I should check out more of his stuff. I need to check out the album more. Just this Black Panther soundtrack, I mean, more. Because there was a lot of bits I liked. Some of it was weird, but it may just be it's not my taste of music.
Yeah, it took me several full listen throughs while I was doing stuff before I like really was like, okay, I like all of it. Like, I don't love every track. Like, I have favorite tracks, but some of it I certainly liked more than others. But overall, I really like it now. But Kendrick Lamar, I've very much been getting into now, actually, like a lot of his stuff. So this was kind of the start of it. So I'm really glad I checked it out. I really liked it. And I thought it fit the film very well where it was included.
Yes.
So
then a question for you. Out of all the songs on the album, which one would be your favorite?
I really like Paramedic. But my favorite is the very first one, probably, which is Black Panther, which is a kind of odd one, but it's more artistic, which is why I like it. It starts out with like drums, like, and it gets louder and it seems all crazy, and he cuts it off, and then it's piano and like raining in the background while he talks about being king and goes on about it. It's very interesting. Okay. I didn't love that one at first, though, but it is by far my favorite now. So the one that's literally called Black Panther, it's the first track on the album. Okay. That is my favorite now. So.
All right. In terms of, I think I made all my points on the music. I've only listened to it through the movie, and there were like a lot of good bits, and some of it I was just like, okay. I'm sure it works a lot better for people that are into that live through that music or are more familiar with that music. Just not what I'm used to, so it's just different to me. But
yeah, I've been getting into rap a lot more lately, although it's very hard to find rap that I like, but Kendrick Lamar is certainly a very different rapper. He's very poetic, and so that comes across at several points in the album where it's
Okay.
more like artistic than you would expect
Yeah.
from a lot of rap.
Yeah, and if it's a lyric, and if it's definitely a lyrics thing, then that would probably be missed in places during the film, since you
exactly.
since
But it is important to note that yes, it is very much like he put there's a lot of effort put into the music. So
yes.
You mentioned CGI. I liked it. There's nothing that stuck out as super bad to me.
Nothing. Yeah, no, it was all good high tech quality stuff. I'm very interested with their holograms.
How those work?
Yes, just like how the effects work with like it looking like dust, and then forming into the shapes. I feel like
that's probably not that hard. I don't know to do like literally like from a real world perspective of making the effects.
No.
Like
I'm not. I wasn't commenting about like
you mean just like
just the
how,
concept.
Like, how that works.
Yes.
Oh yeah, me too. I thought it was cool.
Just in the film universe itself, that being how it works rather than just straight up holograms.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was a very nice touch. That's all. That's all my point was. I liked
that it was different.
Yeah,
that was the main thing.
Everything else looked at the very least looked fine. A lot of it looked really good. And the only shot that I found really weird, and this may be more I was disoriented by it, was the shot with Killmonger being the Black Panther walking into the throne room and the camera rotating from upside down to straight up. Like I can definitely understand like from an analytical reasoning of like why that was a very good choice. It's just didn't sit well with me, and I think it was mostly because I was getting dizzy from looking at it.
I kind of forgot that happened. I just remember the shot of him like with the fire and everything.
I knew that happened because of the trailers, but like since it was a long drawn out thing that lasted like a good 30 seconds, I was like, okay, I'm getting a little woozy.
That's interesting. Yeah, I actually did not even I didn't have a problem with it. It didn't stick out to me as a bad thing. So
I do have a little bit of motion sickness. Not like I haven't like gotten motion sick or anything, but like I do have trouble reading when I'm in a moving vehicle.
No, yeah.
So
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying the particular, because I do actually have motion sickness a lot of the time, that I didn't actually notice that at all. So that's kind of interesting.
Okay, so maybe it was just a me thing then. I don't know. Leave a comment down below if that was a problem for you or
like
not.
Realizing it, I don't know though. So
yeah, no, yeah. Are there any other points you want to make about this film, Eric?
I don't think so. Overall, I just gotta say I freaking love it. Yeah. It is one of the best Marvel movies ever, and if you don't watch Marvel movies, this is the one to watch for sure, because it's an excellent film on its own, and it doesn't even tie that much into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Which is really, I don't want to say that it doesn't tie into it. It's strong on its own without it, is what I should say. Like, because it has less connections than most, but not in a bad way in the slightest. It is a magnificent movie, and I was worried because I was very, very excited for this movie that it wouldn't live up to the hype. It's pretty darn good. It pretty much lives up to the hype.
Absolutely. I cannot agree more with that statement. And there's nothing else I can really add to that statement. You took all the words from me, Eric. How dare you?
I'm sorry.
Honestly, if you've listened to this podcast, you should have seen the movie. If you have not seen the movie, you should see the movie. It is great. It is worth it. It is wonderful. And it is important in so many ways right now.
Yes, very much so.
Yes. But that is all we have to say today. But before we finally wrap this up, Eric, where can they find you at?
So you guys can find me if you're on Twitter at Eric Crowbar or on Instagram at Aramis Prime. Also check out, if you watch SoundJack's stuff, there's a somewhat decent chance that you've probably heard of Nerdy Geek Talk, which has Steel City Bus, why you might have heard of it. But yes, our podcast, we're Nerdy Geek Talk, where you can find lots of different shows, but the main Transformers one, if you're interested in that, Steel City Bots. We do have a comic book styled podcast, which is called Awesome Asylum. Lots of good stuff there, so definitely go check that out. It's on YouTube or like anywhere you listen to podcasts, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, all of that. So definitely go give us a listen if you're intrigued by that at all.
Yes, definitely do that. I really need to redo my outro. I need to fix that. I got a new social media stuff, and I should be mentioning that all the nerdy geek talk stuff, but that'll be another day. But yeah, that yeah. But where did my words go? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and share this video and subscribe to my channel, SoundJack426. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SoundJack426. And also, please consider donating on my Patreon page to help support the channel. All the links will be in the description below, including all the links to Steel City Bots. Thanks for tuning in. This is SoundJack and Eric signing off.